You have a list. You have had the list for weeks, maybe longer. It's not a list of small things. It's a list of things that matter to you, a project you genuinely care about, a goal you think about almost every day, a version of your life that you can see clearly in your mind. You know what it would take to get there. You have the capability. You've done harder things than this before. And yet, you sit down to start. Open the document, the sketchbook, the application, the gym bag, and then nothing happens. Your body doesn't move. Or it does move, but sideways. To your phone. To a different room. To anything except the thing. You spend the entire evening doing everything adjacent to the task without doing the task itself. And when you finally go to bed, you feel something that is almost worse than having done nothing, because you didn't fail to start. You chose not to start. At least that's how it feels. Society has a very clean, very damaging word for this: lazy. And the cruel part is that you use it on yourself too. You call yourself lazy with genuine contempt, the way you'd say it about someone you'd lost respect for. You look at people who seem to simply do the thing, who wake up, start, finish, move on, and you feel a specific kind of shame that is part envy and part self-disgust and part exhausted confusion. Why can't I just do the thing I actually want to do? Here is what is actually happening. And it changes everything about how you see yourself. What you are experiencing is not laziness. It is not a character flaw, a discipline problem, or evidence that you don't really want what you say you want. It is a specific, documented neurological phenomenon, and it has a name that has nothing to do with motivation at all. It is called activation energy. In chemistry, activation energy is the minimum amount of energy a system requires to begin a reaction. The reaction might be powerful. The outcome might be enormous. But without that initial threshold of energy, that specific, non-negotiable ignition, nothing moves. The potential just sits there, completely intact, completely real, completely inert. Your brain works the same way. Getting from intending to do something to actually doing it requires your brain to cross an internal threshold, a neurological activation cost, that has nothing to do with how much you want the outcome. This cost is paid in a specific currency, dopamine-driven momentum. The brain needs a sufficient concentration of motivational signal to fire the circuits that actually initiate action. Without it, the intention sits in the prefrontal cortex, completely real, completely visible to you, but it cannot convert into physical movement. For most people, this threshold is relatively low. Small tasks generate enough forward momentum to carry them into larger ones. But for highly sensitive, highly analytical, or neurodivergent brains, the activation threshold is structurally elevated. The gap between knowing what to do and being able to start is not a gap of willpower. It is a gap of neurochemistry. And here is the part that makes this so specifically cruel for ambitious people. The more you care about something, the more significant the outcome. The higher your personal standards for the work, the higher your brain's activation cost becomes. Because your brain is not just asking you to start. It is asking you to start at the level you require of yourself. It is calculating the full weight of what you want to produce, the full distance between where you are and where you need to be, and it is presenting that gap as the cost of entry. This is why you can answer 50 emails but cannot open the document that matters. The emails carry no personal stakes. The document carries everything. Your brain isn't being lazy. It is being completely honest about how much this costs you, and it is refusing to begin until the conditions feel right enough to justify the risk. The problem is that the conditions never feel right enough. Because the more capable and discerning your mind, the higher your internal standard for right enough. You can see the gap between what you might produce under imperfect conditions and what you know the work could be. And your brain, trying to protect you from the disappointment of that gap, keeps the door closed. Psychologists call this demand avoidance. Researchers studying ADHD and highly sensitive nervous systems call it task initiation dysfunction. What it actually is, in plain language, is this. Your ambition is so large and your standards so high that the cost of beginning feels greater than the cost of not beginning. Every time. This is not a paradox. It is a trap specifically designed to catch intelligent, capable, deeply invested people. Because here is what nobody tells you about the people who do seem to just start things. Most of them simply care less. Not about everything, but about the specific things you're struggling to start. When the standards are lower, the activation cost is lower. When the outcome means less personally, it is easier to begin imperfectly. The person who starts without hesitation is often the person who is less afraid of the result, not because they are braver, but because they have less invested. Your inability to start is not evidence of not caring. It is, in the most frustrating possible way, evidence of caring too much. So what do you do with this? Not a 7-step plan. Just one thing, because one thing is all the research actually supports. You make the activation cost smaller. Not the task, not the goal, not the standard, the cost of the first movement. You write one sentence, not the chapter. You put on the shoes, not complete the run. You open the file and type a single wrong word just to have something on the page. You are not lowering the bar. You are lowering the ignition cost, giving your brain the small, achievable dopamine signal it needs to start the reaction, so that the momentum you already have inside you can finally do what it was always capable of doing. The potential has always been there. It was never the problem. You aren't lazy. You are someone with enormous internal vision and a nervous system that takes the weight of that vision completely seriously. The gap isn't failure. The gap is the distance between who you are right now and who you are trying to become. And your brain, in its strange and costly way, has been treating that distance with the respect it deserves. Start badly. Start small. Start today. The reaction was always going to be worth the cost. If this video made you feel a little less defeated and a lot more understood, hit that subscribe button. And if you want to keep these deep dives going, hit the join button to become a channel member. It genuinely means the world. Now, if your brain carries this much ambition and still can't make itself start, there is a very good chance it also spends a significant amount of time imagining exactly how everything could go wrong before it has even begun. Click the video on your screen right now to find out the real psychology behind catastrophic thinking, why your brain runs worst-case scenarios on everything you care about, and why that pattern is one of the most misunderstood signs of intelligence there is. I'll see you there.